All right, so let's head over to the local Comic-Con going on today. I typically don't get anything big there, but every once in a while I come out of there with a huge score. So who knows, maybe today will be the day where that happens again, but more than likely I probably won't walk out with anything, or I'll come out with like a few pretty decent things. So let's go check it out, see what they got going on this time. We are at the Holiday Inn again. You've seen it before if you've been watching my channel. And go inside and see what they've got set up today. So just to give you all ideas on things that you can sell, like this is a good idea if you set up for little trade shows and stuff, or you have an Etsy shop. You could take little fabric prints and you can make these little coasters, and these are out of comic book print materials, but you know, you could use any kind of fabric materials you want. Like this one here is a sports one, and you know, they're $1 a piece, so if you set up at like a flea market or something, that's a good idea. These are some nice pot holders here, $2 a piece. And you can see here all these different fabrics here. There's some wrestling ones. There's some comic book ones as well. Guardians of the Galaxy. All sorts of different movie ones. It's pretty neat. What would you do for all of them? For all, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. This is the GoBots one, but.
Yeah, we do 50, like with the GoBots one.
Okay. Think about it. We do have some doubles here.
Yeah, the thing with the doubles.
Yeah.
If there were 6 different ones,
yeah,
a little different.
Yeah. Get you. It's pretty new though, and
some of the boxes are a little rough. You didn't want to pick and choose. But...
Yeah, no, they're in pretty neat condition though. I mean, they're all in the box. They've all got the masks.
Or anything.
Yeah.
There's a big thing.
Yeah.
And they should all have the strap too, which be a thing you'll notice a lot of them missing the strap.
Yep.
They've definitely never been worn.
Okay.
They might have sat in a box for 30 plus years.
Yeah. Thing is, if I'm gonna sell, I gotta sell them one at a time, because you don't want to put up all 3 at once, because it kind of devalues the item. So you kind of got to sit on the rest of them for a while. Let me take a look. Yep, so it says the string on it. It's pretty nice. Yeah.
Got super excited.
No, that's pretty neat. A lot of times when you find these, there's rips and tears in them and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm just looking at them.
Or they've been like weathered and like crack off and stuff.
No, I mean, it still has the string on the back to tie it, which is good. And the colors are still bright, so that's really good. The other thing that's good is that the mask itself doesn't have any cracks on it or anything. I mean, and you're right, it still does have the strings on them and stuff to attach. It says the rubber band on it. Yeah. A lot of times the holes by the eyes are damaged and cracked and stuff and busted out, and you don't see that. It's pretty nice.
Wow.
Here's another one right here.
They're into them.
Yeah, I should have brought them.
I just sat in the car.
Yeah.
No, because I'm coming to Crazy Christmas.
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely bring them. Kids, Mad Balls.
Yeah. Oh, I had the Mad Balls.
Yeah,
remember Slobulus?
Yeah. I've been wanting to find them so bad.
Yeah, it's hard to find Mad Balls. They actually had a Mad Balls comic book.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that.
Marvel
made them through Star.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's only like 3 issues or something.
Yeah.
That's something that's
there's a mini series.
Here, right?
Yeah. So I definitely am interested in them. Would you be willing to do 40 on them just because there's doubles of them?
Yeah.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I might have a box.
Okay. That works. All right. That's really neat. Yeah. All right, here they are. Put them in the Primetime Treasure Mobile. Let's go back in, see if we can find anything else. Well, we're already back. I brought my son, Primetime Jr. is in the house today, and I'm getting him a few monsters to reward him for his awesome report card. All A's, are real happy for him and proud. So these here, just 10 bucks. These are not for reselling. They're just for him. So this is a Spawn figure here. It's the Violator figure. He also turns into this clown-like creature. We've got this pretty cool creature here. He kind of looks like a robotic Thanos. This definitely looks like a Spawn figure right here as well. And then we've got this guy. I'm not sure who he is, but my son really loved him. So, you know, take your kids to these comic conventions sometimes. You get these great deals and, you know, give them a little treat along the way. And you can teach them all about flipping. And that's what I did. You know, I showed my son these items. And one of the things I was pointing out to him is that when you normally see these costume boxes, the cellophane is so thin, they're almost always poked through. There's usually just little like flecks and flakes of the plastic left. Sometimes it's completely gone or it's just ripped and there's lots of creases. Every single one of these have the plastic fully intact. It's incredible. And not only that, you could see here on the side, there's all of these little strips here of cardboard, and they're already perforated, and normally these are broken off, but or they're separated. And here you could see they are intact on every side for every single box, which is also amazing. So the value on these are going to be pretty decent. And I think just one of these, for example, would sell for, you know, 40 bucks. And so this should be pretty nice profit since I got them all for $40. I'm hoping there's like a few $100s worth here. There's some duplicates, which is how I got to negotiate the price down a little bit, because I'll just list them one at a time. But if you are interested in one of these, let me know and I will make a deal with you on them as usual. Are these 2 for $1 as well, or? Huh?
Yeah.
They are?
I've already sold a few of those today.
Okay, yeah, I love these. These are cool. Are these the only ones you have left?
That's the only issue that I have.
Okay. Definitely get those.
There might be more copies.
Okay, I'll oh, it's got some more. 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I just found one for Carol, the CEO. She really loves Bruce Springsteen, and so she'd get a kick out of this Mad magazine right here. Gotta pick this one up, 50 cents. It's another one. Pick this up for 50 cents. This one too. I always pick these up when I could find them. The Deadly Hands of Kung Fu. Got another one. Another one. Oh, this is great. These sell really well too, so I can't believe I found so many of these. Oh, got a Mad magazine back here too. Don't worry about the damage. A little bit of scuffing here, but it'll be good in a lot. Always look for ones from the 70s. These are all 50 cents, remember. He's just blowing them out. So anything Grateful Dead, definitely pick that up as well. I've sold these before. Grateful Dead, anything, but comic books too. Primetime Junior just pulled out another one of these, so I'm gonna add this to the collection. Primetime Junior in the house, found another one. Well, and he found 2 more. How many more do you have of these?
Probably about 20 probably.
It's like a million. Would you just buy the whole shelf
I
one
bought
day?
a lot once, and there was a bundle of them.
These are good too, these 9/11 ones.
Oh yeah, there's a lot more of those.
So, oh, you got more of these? Another Batman ones. Got another one.
Here's more of the 9/11.
Yeah, I'll take them. If you want to just bring them over here, I'll just get them all. Yeah, there's another one.
Mad magazine.
Another Mad magazine, another Kung Fu one. This is a modern Mad magazine though. I'm not going to take this one, so you can take this one back. So, another one of these. Oh my gosh, you got the whole stack of them. That's awesome.
Hey, Dad.
Oh my God, there's more of these. This is crazy. Would you just buy these all at the?
I got them in another lot.
Oh really?
Probably like a whole box came in.
Oh my God. Oh my gosh, there's more in here. 2. They're all spread out. Wow. Another one. Another one. The stack is getting big. And another one. Alright, we're moving stuff to a different pile, but Primetime Junior just found another one. And I just came across these. These are cool. From 1985. these old monster magazines. Take a look at this. I know Carl Bach is probably salivating over these things. They are really neat. And there's 2 issues here. So this is number 151, and I've got 152. So could probably get like $19.99 out of them. Maybe even a little bit more. I don't know. But it's got a cool color poster inside too. You could see that over here. There we go. Nice little color one. It's mostly black and white, but we've got a Dalek here and Davros. That's pretty cool. So we've got some Doctor Who stuff in here. And this one should also have a color poster inside as well. So yeah, here we go. We've got Alien and E.T. and Star Wars and The Thing, you know, Darth Vader. So, you know, you would want to use these things as keywords when you're doing your listing. All right, Primetime Junior is crushing it today. He just picked this one out, 1974. Yeah, right there. So you can see that. And then he found another 2 of these heroes. I'll tell you about those later. And another. We're still picking these out of here. And it's an important issue because it's the last issue of the series. So that's why I'm swooping all these up. These up when you find them. Crazy Magazine from 1980. These sell well also. Okay, if you have kids, don't watch this part, but this here is a karate magazine, and it's a pretty violent cover, but it's from 1976, and karate stuff does really well, so I'm gonna pick this one up for 50 cents also. Now, these little guys here are called fanzines or fanzines, and there's some modern ones down here that have color on them. Those are the ones you want to avoid. You want to stick with these older ones from the 1980s and the 1970s, and there's ones earlier than that as well. They're very obscure, they're hard to find, and collectors will pay up for them. So we are going to grab these right here, and then there's a bunch underneath that we're just going to leave behind. So all these black and white ones are what you're looking for. These color ones, this is not what you want. So these are modern ones. People aren't going to spend for these, but they will for these. All right, we're out of there. There's 71 total issues that I wound up getting today for a grand price of $30. That's amazing. I am so pumped up. What a great deal today. Combined with these masks, much better than I expected. There's been many times I've walked out of here with absolutely nothing, but today there was good product and people willing to make a deal. In fact, the person that I picked up all these masks from was the same guy that I got all those vintage Halloween decorations from at that horror collector show that Metal Flippin' Mel recommended me to. So now we've exchanged business cards and everything, and hopefully we'll make some more deals in the future because he's got a ton of stuff. He said he's got about 100 vintage Masters of the Universe figures. So that's how you just make it work. This guy here that I bought this stuff from, I've been talking to this guy for years. Sometimes I can find stuff, sometimes not. But today, it's just one of those days where it worked out. And before we head back, the best part about today is I had a lot of fun with my main man, Primetime Junior. He did a great job treasure hunting, finding all of those vintage comic books, Mad magazines, all sorts of other magazines. I mean, we really did a great job today, and I want to give him a big thumbs up and a big, giant Primetime high five. Good job, buddy. All right, let's head back. Wow, that really was a lot of fun, taking you inside the comic book convention and showing you some of the many items that you could get there besides actual comic books. Yes, you saw me go on a comic book treasure hunt. That was a lot of fun for me, and I'll talk to you some more about that in a few moments. But you also got some other ideas as well. So for example, in the very beginning, you saw those coasters and those pot holders. Yes, they were comic book related, but you could use any theme you like, and you could make those types of items and others and sell them on crafty websites like Etsy. You could sell them on eBay. You could even sell them on Amazon. You could sell them at trade shows just like that and make good money if you are crafty. Now, There were other things that you saw as well. Would you have thought, if you never went to a comic book convention, that you could go in there and you would be able to find 6 vintage costumes that were essentially new old stock? Yeah, they've been opened, but you saw the condition. I mean, they are just in incredible shape. So $40 for all 6 of them, including a very collectible GoBots one, and then those 5 photon related ones. That was for a laser tag related theme. So that was just really nice to see that stuff there at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, no less. So that place opened around 9 or 10 in the morning, and they were still all sitting there ripe for the picking hours after opening. So that's another thing. You also saw that I went through all those magazines and comic books, and in there I picked out a Kung Fu related magazine. Now, yeah, it was gory, and I'm not going to show you that one again, but the reason I'm bringing it up again is that it's important to understand that comic book collectors have a lot of other interests besides comic books, and those naturally show up when you go to these comic book conventions. So Halloween and Halloween costumes is a big theme. You will see costumes at comic book conventions. You will see Kung Fu related items there. You will see toys and action figures. You saw my son picked out a couple. We didn't get those to resell. Those were for him as a present, but those types of things are there. Now, going back to Kung Fu for a moment, if you flip through a comic book from the 1970s or the 1980s, chances are you're going to see some type of Kung Fu related advertisement in there. Remember, it's mostly a male audience who is reading comic books back then, and Kung Fu was really in its heyday in pop culture back then. Think of all the Chuck Norris related movies and the Bruce Lee movies that came out back then. Also, Marvel published a really cool comic book magazine back then called The Deadly Hands of Kung Fu. As you see right here, this is the one I kept showing you over and over and over again. Now, speaking of Bruce Lee and Chuck Norris, check the covers if you ever see this magazine, because if Chuck Norris and Bruce Lee are on the cover, that is going to jump the value up, especially the ones with Bruce Lee on the cover. They sell for a really nice dollar amount depending on the condition of the books. Now, this particular one I picked up, you could see here, it's issue 33. What's relevant about that is it's the final issue of the series, as I mentioned earlier when we were at the convention. This one comes from 1977. Now, first issues of series are obviously valuable and good ones to pick up as long as it's a good title, but so is the last issue. The problem is you don't always know when the final issue is, because sometimes they didn't know when the final issue is when they published it. Sometimes you'll actually see it will say on the comic book, final issue, this is the last issue, because it was planned out. Those things tend to be planned out more in modern times, but they were not always planned out back in the day. In fact, sometimes the writers and the artists, the people who were involved in coloring the comic books, they didn't know until, last minute that this was going to be the last particular issue, for example. So, it's not always obvious from the cover, and you could look these types of things up easily, if you have your phone out, but sometimes just having a working knowledge of the subject area can really help you out with this. But this issue is good, again, because it is that final issue. Now, it's also remarkable to find this many of them all at once and to find them in this type of condition. Some of these are in very fine to near mint condition. Now, these will sell for as high as $50 a piece, or even a little bit higher than that, like 53. Right now, the cheapest you could even find a decent copy of these is for $28. That's the cheapest on eBay right now. So I got 19 of them total. Now, one of the things I'm going to tell you before I go into talking some more about value is that you do have to be careful when you go to a comic book convention. If you see a modern day comic book and there's just a million of them, there's like a lot of them, there's like 20 or 30 of them, those are overproduced comic books. One good example of that is Wonder Man, the first issue of it. They published 1 billion of those. You could still find 1 million of them. You could find a whole entire box of them. You don't want to pick something like that up. It's practically worthless. A couple things more about this, which is for pricing, I have said before in videos, you want to try to be at 15 to 20 cents an issue, really 10 to 20 cents an issue. It usually averages at about 15 cents. But I've also said that if you're purchasing in small amounts like this or smaller amounts, then 15 cents an issue is not going to happen. 15 cents an issue is when you're buying hundreds or thousands of comic books. So then when you're dealing with a lesser amount, no one's going to give them to you for that amount. Maybe the best you could get is 3 for $1, so maybe 30 cents, but they're not going to be typically issues that are of this caliber. So it was amazing to find them for 42 cents a piece. So if we were to average and say, let's say we sold them for on average 40 bucks a piece, that's about $760 right there. And that's just part of the $30 investment here. So yes, it can make sense to buy multiples of the same issue if it's something that you have some knowledge about, that it's a good issue. So be real careful, especially if you're new. You need to make sure you check your comps on this. And you know, if you have an area that you are you know, knowledgeable about, that you have experience with, that it's something that you collect, then when you see something and you see multiples of them, you might be able to more readily identify that it's something that you want to pick up in bulk. And this was another great example. I wound up getting 29 of these Heroes 9/11 comic book magazines. Now it's interesting that before I got much more actively back into the reselling, so I'd say about, let's say 3-4 years ago, believe it or not, I was actively hunting out this comic magazine to add to my collection, and I could never find it on eBay for a price that I was really comfortable with. Now, these are hard to find in the wild at very fine to near mint condition, and most of these are like that. I mean, these look practically brand new. What that guy was doing, to get back to something I was saying earlier with the Kung Fu magazines, and it relates to these as well, is he was basically just bringing in the remainder of his comic books and magazines that he had at home. He told me he just wanted to just blow the rest of them out, and he wanted to reset with his collection and buy newer stuff. Now, you could check comps on them, and in lesser condition, they'll sell for like 13 to 15 bucks, but these are in better condition than that. The most you could get out of one of these right now, market rate, would be around 34, but I'd say somewhere between maybe 20 to 25 bucks. So, you know, just multiply that by 29 issues, and these are long tail, okay, to sell all of them. I'm not going to sell them all at once. I'm going to piece them out one at a time. And it's funny because my son was talking to me about this today, and he's like, so Dad, are you going to put all these all up at the same time? And I said, no. And he was saying, why wouldn't you do that? I've talked about this before, but I want to try to preserve market scarcity on the item. So I don't want anyone to know I have 29 of these. I want them to think that I only have one. So these are replenishables though, and we talked about replenishables earlier in my interview with Nick that I did a few weeks ago. So go check that one out. That was a lot of fun when we talked about the replenishables. And this is just one. I just have to take a couple pictures one time, put it up because they all look identical. And then when this one sells for, let's say, hopefully $20, $25 or something like that, then all I have to do is hit sell similar, and the next one goes up. Now, the last thing that I want to talk to you about is sourcing during the winter time. It's a question that comes up to me a lot, especially from people in the Northeast who are frustrated because there's no more garage sales. The estate sales are few and far between. The flea markets have been either shut down or they're limited to one small indoor area, and especially new people are wondering, where can I go to source and find things? Well, I did a video about this. It's one of my earlier ones, so go search on my channel for sourcing during the winter months or the winter time. Just type in sourcing in winter and it'll bring it up. And I talk about creating your own ads that you could put on Craigslist that show that you're looking for particular items in your particular interest area, and you'll be surprised the responses that you get of people wanting to sell you things. Now, make sure you're safe and take the proper precautions, of course. And I actually did a funny video about that called How Not to Get Killed on Craigslist. So check that out. That's a pretty funny one in terms of the cover that I put on there of a Leatherface just basically grabbing someone and taking them into a home. So you want to be really, really careful that you're safe. But another thing to do is to make sure you check out these conventions. So comic book conventions, toy conventions, there's doll conventions, there's military item related conventions, there's postcard conventions. Those are just a few. There's so many others. There's library book sales. That's a great place to go to source things. I recently, just a few days ago, sold 15 Dragonlance books. They're hardcovers. I picked them up for $10 during a bag sale at the last day of a library book sale go to that sci-fi fantasy section. Highly recommend it. Often we'll find many gems there, and sold those books for $125. So you can find these types of things. You got to look for indoor sourcing locations. Try to build up a relationship with a local business, a local dealer. Maybe it's an antique dealer or it's some type of collectibles shop or something like that. If it's a family-owned place, you'll have a better shot at doing something like this. And explain, you want to try to, you know, build some type of relationship where you're buying stuff that they're trying to liquidate or just, you know, get rid of. And tell them, be very honest, tell them that you're a reseller and that you're looking to buy those types of things. You'd be surprised how many types of deals that you can make. I mean, recently, you know, the day that I went to this comic book convention, that was a Saturday. Well, the day prior, and I did not film this, but I'm still going sourcing, not as much as I am during the summertime, but I still will go for these little opportunities that pop up once in a while. So on Friday, I went to one of these deals. Now, I'm not allowed to bring cameras in there. I never have been. I've told you this before, so I can't take you in there. But, you know, this is just an example of some of the great stuff that I picked out. Now, if anything here you see you're interested in or you want, let me know. This one I'm actually going to post, but probably by the time you see this video, this one will be up. But these are treasury-sized comic books from the 1970s and 1980s, and they are in incredible shape. This one here you can see is Super Friends. Who doesn't like Super Friends right there? We've got all the awesome popular characters right there from DC. We've got a Wonder Woman one here as well. We've got a really cool Batman related one. There's a Doctor Strange one, very popular as well. And here's a cool Howard the Duck one. The movie, not recommended, but the comic book, definitely really cool. So there's those 6 right there. And then on top of that, I wound up getting this entire short box of comic books. And these are all cherry-picked issues. And you can see some of these in terms of the sticker price that's on the cover. I mean, we're talking about things that have $50 price tags on them. So these are some Michael Turner ones that are signed by, some of them are signed by Michael Turner and other people who were involved in the comic books. I've told you about Michael Turner before. This is a Star Wars variant that has a $50 price tag on it. Here's another Michael Turner related one as well with some signatures on them. There's also some nice vintage Silver Age books. I mean, we've got a really cool Wonder Woman issue here. This one has sold for anywhere between $75 and over $100 for just this particular issue. So this is a really great one in nice condition. The Spectre is another great one to find. If you could ever find these older Spectre issues, definitely pick them up. Again, anything with Michael Turner. And here's another one of those Spectre issues that I was telling you about. So they're great pieces here. So I've already shown you, and here's some more signatures, what some of the issues are here. I paid a total of $150 for those 6 treasuries and all of these other issues that you're going to see here as well. And most of the items that are inside of this box are Star Wars related ones. Now there's modern Star Wars related comic books, but there's also some older ones in there as well, which I'll show you. I also picked up some trade paperbacks. So this is an example of a Spider-Man one. I picked up some older Western ones because I have some in an old box that I want to get rid of. So I figured I would just throw this in and make some combo deals. So we've got Annie Oakley. Always look for old ghost related comic books. Those sell well. Anything horror related. I have an old Burke's Law up right now in my eBay store, and so I figured if that one didn't sell, that I would add these to it and make a little bit of a value deal for someone. Remember, I've talked about that, is making those value deals. I love the Punisher. I picked up #2 because it's part of a limited series, and sometimes I'm missing like a particular issue, and so I'll go and I'll just pluck it out of a box like this, and then I'll just complete the series. I love this series right here, What If. It tells what if something happened in a particular comic book storyline. So this is a classic one with the Fantastic Four. So I love to pick those up. Strange Adventures, another great title as well to look for. We've also got another Secret Wars here too. This one is in the original plastic bag here. So that's pretty cool to find that. But I'd probably take them out of there and just combine them to make full sets. And so that's why I always pick up the Secret Wars when I could find them, is to make full sets out of them. There's some good hardcover books that are in here as well. So anything new and sealed that's a comic book related book, I love to pick them up if it's a popular title. So Rocket Raccoon from Guardians of the Galaxy, very popular. We've got Avengers, so anything Avengers with the Avenger movies are real popular. So you could see here, this is a really cool Avengers related one. And then we've got Balder the Brave, which is also a popular title. So Sabretooth is another one, which you could see here. I also picked up some comic book related bags. So these are Golden Age ones. So those are for those old 10-cent issues. So they're a little bit wider. So you need those to fit those bigger comic books inside of there. And then the rest of what we have in here are Star Wars related comic books. Most of them are vintage, not exactly all of them, but you could see here some examples. Now this is a modern one here. I've sold this one many times for like at least 10 bucks or more. And these other ones here though, you can make some nice vintage sets of these Star Wars issues here. So just really cool to see all of these. They're in great shape. This was the main base of the box that I initially found, and then I just built around it by plucking all those other custom related items into this box and then just making one bulk deal for everything for $150. Now that sounds like a lot of money to spend for what is essentially a short box of comic books, but this is a special situation because it is a cherry-picked box with high dollar value issues. So that's what you have to keep in mind. It's much different from going out and just buying out somebody's collection. That's a completely different type of buyer situation. So I hope that you found this video helpful. If so, make sure that you come to my Facebook group, the Facebook Reselling Resource Center. Come by to my Instagram account, that's @prime_time_treasure. And also, I'm going to end this video off with something really cool. My daughter, I told you we're very proud of her. She is in marching band, and we went down to our local city, little downtown area, and the marching band that she performed in went up and down the street for a little Christmas show. So I'm going to show you a little a clip of that Christmas show just coming down the street and then them lighting up the tree downtown. So just to have a little festive ending to the show here tonight. You get the point with these Star Wars issues, so I won't flip through the rest of them, but I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you back at the next one. Take care, everyone. Eight, 7, 6.